Leave deserts alone, some say. Are they right? Some say that deserts are important part of ecosystems and we should not combat desertification. Let's start this video with a story. The midday heat shimmered off the cracked pavement as I waited at the bus station. Two men huddled nearby, their conversation punctuated by hushed laughter. One leaned in, his voice low but carrying on the stagnant air. They are wasting their time with all this is stop desertification nonsense. Deserts are part of nature. Gotta leave them be. Intrigued, I stole a glance at the endless expanse of sand dunes stretching on the horizon. He had a point. Deserts, despite their harsh beauty, were vital ecosystems, but a nagging unease settled in my gut. Weren't these deserts once a distant blur on the map, now creeping closer every year? Perhaps leaving them alone wasn't enough. Perhaps the solution lay somewhere between blind acceptance and a fight against their very existence. Certainly, we don't want to remove all the deserts from the planet. Deserts are a vital part of biosphere. They are home to unique ecosystems, regulate global weather patterns, and even store significant amounts of carbon. But we can't ignore the impact our practices have had in recent decades. Our actions like unsustainable and unsustainable land management and climate change have significantly contributed to desertification, adding vast amounts of lands to the deserts. The urgency lies in correcting this course. We need to find ways to halt and ideally reverse this trend of desertification. This means implementing sustainable land management practices, mitigating climate change, and potentially even exploring techniques for ecological restoration in affected areas. The ideal scenario isn't a world without deserts, but rather a world where they remain in their natural balance. We must prioritize a two-pronged approach. First, we need to prevent further desertification by adopting sustainable land management practices. This could involve techniques like regenerative agriculture and water conservation to ensure fertile lands retain their life-giving potential. Second, for deserts that have expanded in recent decades due to human actions, restoration efforts become crucial. Reforestation projects with native plants and innovative techniques like fog harvesting can breathe new life into these degraded landscape. By focusing both prevention and restoration, we can work toward a future where deserts remain a vital part of our planet, but without claiming fertile lands as their own. Deserts have been expanding in recent decades. Deserts have actually been expanding in recent decades, driven by factors like climate change and human activity. However, quantifying the exact amount of expansion is a complex issue. Deserts don't abruptly appear overnight. It is a slow process where once fertile land loses its vegetation and moisture, turning it into a desert. There is no single universally agreed upon definition of a desert, and this complicated the quantifying of how much desertification we had in recent decades. Some definitions focus on rainfall amount, while others consider plant life or soil characteristics. This makes it difficult to compare desert extents across studies. While satellite imagery is a powerful tool for tracking changes in land cover, classifying land precisely can be challenging. There can be overlap between desert and other dry land ecosystems like steppes. Despite these challenges, research suggests a trend of desert expansion. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change publishes reports on climate change, including desertification, and this shows that deserts are expanding. United Nations Convention on Combat Desertification is an international agreement focused on addressing desertification. Their website has information on the causes and impacts of desertification. You can search for research papers on desertification using keywords like desertification trends, desert expansion, or land degradation. You would find reputable scientific journal articles that suggest deserts are expanding. Over the past several decades, the expansion of desert lands has been a concerning trend. Currently, dry land cover approximately 46% of the global land area and are home to 3 billion people. For example, in Central Asia, the desert climates have expanded northward by up to 100 kilometers since the 1980s due to global temperature rise and other practices. This expansion affects regions in Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, southern Kazakhstan, and parts of China. The rapid increase in desertification threatens ecosystems and the livelihoods of those relying on these lands. As temperature rise and rainfall pattern change, sustainable land management practices become crucial to mitigate and adapt desertification while also addressing climate change. How we can combat desertification? Desertification, or the transformation of fertile land into desert, poses a serious threat to our planet's ecosystems and to the communities that depend on them. While complete desertification prevention might not be realistic, we can significantly slow the process and even reclaim some lost ground through a two-pronged approach: prevention and restoration. For prevention, we can do things like sustainable land management. This involves adopting practices that minimize land degradation and promote healthy ecosystems. Techniques like crop rotation, cover cropping, and improved grazing management help maintain soil health and moisture retention. Water conservation. Preserving freshwater resources is crucial in combating desertification. Implementing efficient irrigation systems, rainwater harvesting, and promoting water-saving practices in agriculture and daily life can significantly reduce water loss. Combating climate change. Climate change is a major driver of desertification. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions through renewable energy use, energy efficiency measures, and sustainable forestry practices can help mitigate the problem. For restoration, we can do these things. For example, reforestation and afforestation. Planting drought-resistant native trees and vegetation helps to anchor soil, prevent erosion, and improve water infiltration. This can create a positive feedback loop, attracting moisture and encouraging further plant growth. Soil rehabilitation. Techniques like mulching and compost application can help restore degraded soil by replenishing nutrients and organic matter, making it more conducive to plant life. Community involvement. Local communities often have traditional knowledge and practices that can be valuable in desertification efforts. Desertification combating efforts, including them in planning and implementation. Restoration projects fosters a sense of ownership and increases the chances of long-term success. Desertification is a complex challenge, but not as insurmountable one. Through a combination of preventative measures like sustainable land management and climate change mitigation, coupled with active restoration efforts like reforestation and soil rehabilitation, we can create a future where deserts coexist in harmony with fertile lands. This will require collaboration between governments, scientists, local communities, and individuals. By recognizing the value of deserts while acknowledging the threat they pose, we can ensure these unique ecosystems continue to thrive for generations to come.